What's up, guys? Welcome to the vlog. We got some stuff lined up for you. First, I'm going to talk about the mid-engine Corvette, because I think I know some stuff or have come up with some ideas I haven't heard other people talk about.
It'll surprise you.
Will totally surprise. It'll blow your mind. All right. Since the introduction of the Corvette in 1953 with its composite body panels, it's always been a forward-thinking vehicle. And not long after its inception, when the V8 arrived, the car's lightweight and big power made it hard for it to grab traction. Ever since then, there's been speculation of a mid-engine all throughout the years. Several concepts have pointed in this direction, but nothing's ever come to fruition, until all of a sudden, we were shocked by a couple of clever guys who were able to fly a drone over the Milford Proving Grounds, and they were able to catch a couple of GM engineers covering up a really rough prototype. It appeared to be a Corvette passenger cell wearing Holden Ute bodywork over the top of it to cover up some odd proportions. It didn't take long for many people to figure out that this perhaps could be a Corvette with a mid-engine. No one could have seen this coming. Or could we? Early on in the development of the Corvette, it was known that they would no longer use hydroformed frame rails like they did in the C6 Corvette. Instead, they would be replaced with sections that were riveted together. Bob Lutz had said in interviews prior that had it not been for the economic downturn of 2008, they would have already made a mid-engine Corvette to replace the C6 Corvette as a C7 generation. Obviously, this didn't come to fruition, but here we are in an economic upturn, and now GM is hard at work to make something that can compete with the Europeans. Although some would say they already have. Many people are really trying hard to figure out what the Corvette looks like underneath all of its wrappings. The real answer is, those things are doing their jobs, and it's very hard to see what's underneath. But there's a few things we can see just by looking at it. Number one being, it doesn't have large brake rotors. This is an indication that the performance will be less than the C7 ZR1, due to be unveiled soon. One of the reasons that most Corvettes don't have dual overhead cam engines is because of the great width of the engine and the height that it creates. These two things combined make it very difficult to fit a V8 engine in between the strut towers of a Corvette, and able to also have wide enough tires to create the grip needed to make a front engine car handle the way it should. This concern is obviously no longer a problem for a mid-engine Corvette, so it's likely we'll see dual overhead cams in this mid-engine Corvette. Also, some internal GM documents revealed that there's a dual overhead cam engine ready to go into a Corvette chassis. When you compare the Corvette to the Lamborghini Huracan, it seems to appear a little bit longer in prototype form. The reason for this is likely has to do with the transmission setup. In a Lamborghini Huracan, even with a V10, it looks pretty short front to rear. The reason for this is the fact that they have an integrated rear differential and transmission, with the axle shafts coming out the sides of the transmission, and the bulk of the transmission sitting behind the center line of the axle. In the mid-engine Corvette, I think we will likely see a rear differential and transmission modular unit like we see in current Corvettes, just dropping the torque tube because there's no need to transfer power from front to rear of the car, with an engine that bolts directly to the transmission and a transmission bolting directly to the differential. Although we've seen no evidence of it, it is possible that we could see a flat plane crankshaft in the new Corvette. Being as how we now have plenty of space to put 2 intake plenums in, you could see a traditional flat plane like is seen in a Ferrari, and not the same flat plane that is seen in the Mustang, which utilizes a different firing order to make sure that they can utilize a traditional intake. I personally hope, and it is my belief, that this car will be in addition to the front engine Corvette, and both will remain on through future generations. While there may not be much more to be seen from the photographs, this car has a lot more to give us. Just like the spirit of the original Corvette that was built to rival European sports cars, this car will do the same, and much more. American astronauts once drove Corvettes because they thought that they rivaled forward thinking and excellent engineering, the things that got American astronauts to the moon. Now this Corvette has become something different, a flagpole. A flagpole that will wave the American flag in front of all who view it and show that we still have what it takes to stand up to anyone and challenge the greatest engineers in the rest of the world. America.